Hey everybody, today I'd like to share my thoughts with you about clipless pedals and flat pedals. Now, bringing up clipless pedals or flat pedals is a little bit like bringing up religion, politics, or money in everyday conversation. I ride both, and so I want to give you my thoughts on both of them because I think they're both great. First day I got my first pair of clipless shoes and clipless pedals, I felt like I'd graduated, and I rode those all the way until 2014 exclusively. So in 2014, I realized that my clipless pedals were preventing me from perfecting my manuals because I was too scared that I'd get in the perfect balance point, start to loop out, and not be able to clip out in time. One thing about clipless pedals, yes, it's easy to clip out once you're used to them, but they do require a little bit of extra range of motion, and just a little. But when you're at the very limit, like in a manual and your knees are almost locked and you need just another little extra range of motion, it can be scary, and I had problems with that. So it was holding me back from learning manuals. It was holding me back from hitting big drops and big jumps and stuff. So I decided I would make a promise to myself that I would switch to flat pedals until I could manual 100 feet. Once I could manual 100 feet, I'd switch back to clips, and then I'd have all the skills and have all the benefits of clips. When I switched to flats, I instantly noticed I was cornering different. I weight the pedals different, and I weight the bike different when I'm on flats. I pump through the pedals, I pressure them, I weight them different. Whereas on clips, the bike feels like it's part of me, and we just kind of move together. On flats, I'm pumping things, I'm weighting, I'm unweighting, I'm letting the bike move a little bit, and it's a completely different sensation for me. And sadly, they don't quite transfer back and forth. So I found myself cornering far better on my flat pedals. I found myself, I already knew how to jump and bunny hop with both, so it didn't really affect those a whole lot. I found really technical climbs were easier on the clips. I found on the clips, I could go until I would just about petered out and then just keep muscling through, and I could crank through stuff that I couldn't do on the flats. But I also found that the flats made me smoother, and they helped me know where to put down power and come into things with more momentum. Basically, riding each one has helped me ride the other one better. If you think of yourself as a pure athlete and a racer and you want every possible advantage for more speed, clipless pedals are for you. However, my favorite coaches who teach skills teach them on flat pedals. And I believe that flat pedals help develop good skills. You can develop those skills on clips as well, but it is more difficult. For new riders, there's so much already going on. You're thinking about your dropper, shifting, are you in the right gear? When you're coasting, are your pedals level, or are you gonna smack your pedals on that rock that's coming up? Where are your eyes? How are you leaning the bike and holding your balance and maintaining momentum? And adding clipless pedals is just one more thing to worry about, in my opinion. Now, granted, you can learn these real fast and get over that, and then that's taken away. But coming from my instructional design background and helping coach other new learners, I find that the increased confidence, the increased skills gained on the flat pedals is totally worth it for starting out. So I recommend most people start on flat pedals. It's gonna help you step off the bike easier. It's gonna help you walk when you're off the bike. These are clunky and weird to walk in. A lot of new riders aren't riding 100% of a trail, so they get off the bike, push it up there. It sounds stupid, but that makes things tricky on these. Also, a lot of people don't realize that, yes, while it's easy to get out of clipless pedals, it's not always easy to get in. How many times have you been riding with a buddy who's going along and they're like, hang on, I'm not clipped in yet. That's why I didn't make it up or down such and such thing. That can all go away with practice and learning how to clip in and out better. But for new people, that's just one extra point of failure when you're learning to ride difficult terrain. So I like the flat pedals for new riders. Another thing about flat pedals is, and I didn't realize this till recently, you will put your foot at the most natural position on the pedal. For me, that's slightly toe out because there's no predetermined position. With clipless pedals, your cleat is predetermining where your shoe is gonna be, and you always put it in that same exact spot. So if you get your position off a little bit and learn that, you could develop knee pain, you could develop back pain, whereas with the flats, you put it where it's most natural. I used to run these right in the middle, totally straight, and I started getting knee pain, and I examined my position on these shoes, and I realized I needed to put the toe out just a little bit to eliminate that knee pain. It also made it easier to clip in and out. One other thing I need to say about clipless versus flat. The shoes are far more important than the pedals. So if you only have a budget of $200, spend 30 or 40 on pedals and the rest on your shoes, especially with flats. If you've only ridden flats with your Skechers or your trail runners or your work boots, you are completely missing out on what makes flats great. I'm generalizing here, so don't get mad if your experience is different. Often clips put a cap on where your skills are or how far you're willing to push it. So if you've never ridden skinnies or teeter-totters or drops or big jumps and you switch to clips, a lot of people never actually get through that ceiling. The clips kind of create a skill ceiling, in my opinion, on those areas. They're scared. I don't think learning to ride skinnies and clips is a great idea. You have to get off. There's a lot of awkward dismounts. It's way easier on flats. Can you do it? Absolutely. But most people that I see, I can tell when riders switch too early to clips and they don't have the foundational skills and they're not progressing as fast as they can because of the fear of clipping out. So those are my thoughts. So how do I know when someone's ready? When someone can bunny hop up a curb, when they can manual 4 or 5 feet, when they can do wheelies, when they're really comfortable on the bike, when they have good cornering position, just basic fundamentals, then I think it's interesting to switch to clips, because clips do offer a huge advantage. You pull up on the upstroke, you feel way less tired, you can pull a harder gear. When you're coming up to a climb on flats, everything's got to be perfect. Your traction's got to be perfect. Your shifting's got to be perfect. You got to be in the perfect gear. It's harder to ride with flat pedals. So clips do have an advantage. You can stay connected to your bike more. You can push through when you're about to stop and you can just keep cranking. They're really great for that. So I ride both. When I'm doing long distance days, always clips. I'm so much more efficient on clips. When I am trying new technical terrain that's especially on like a knife edge where I might have to step off awkwardly, I'm always on the flats. I drive my weight into the pedals far different on these. The float in a clipless pedal feels a little bit unsettling to me, where on a sticky shoe, when these pins sink in, I don't have any float and the bike's right with me. A lot of people have the problem of their feet slipping off on flat pedals, and I believe that's either two things. One, improper equipment, or two, improper technique. When I see people riding up here with the pedal on their toe, they've got a long lever over here and it's easy to slip that off into your shin. When you have proper foot pedal position, it's right over the spindle, your ball of your foot is right ahead of it, and you're able to control it better. And the way I weight my pedals, my feet don't slip off, especially on bumpy downhills. If you're ready for clips and you want to do it, go for it. If you want to tackle more challenging climbs, if you want to be a little bit more efficient, if you want to be a little bit faster, try the clips out. But if after a year of riding them, you're finding you still don't know manuals, you're still scared to wheelie, because if you wheelie out, you can't unclip and you'll turtle, or when you're bunny hopping, you're pulling up with your feet, I recommend going back to flats to learn how to hone in those foundational skills. I know this is offensive to a lot of people, but developing good skills on flat pedals, when you switch back to clips, you've got the foundations. It doesn't really work the other way. Okay, so those are my thoughts on the topic. Stay tuned for my next couple videos that break down each one. Thanks for watching. There's a party in the mountains, and you're invited.